Ukraine advisor to the Minister of Education and Science of Ukraine, Olena Nagornaya, coordinator of the Educational Media Club, and also an MP also will join us. Good morning. We are very glad that you pay attention to our event. Our research and our observations demonstrate that the education as one of the column, one of underlying reforming in this society doesn't find adequate attention from the part of our government, and monitoring them also proved that education turns into the closed club where members are very few, and we would like to promote education in our society, and we call on our journalists to join us because we have established educational media club. We will hold on regular basis our events and meetings, because the topic of education should be discussed among the grassroots public on the large scale. And now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Valeev. Yes, you are welcome. Thank you, Olena. Yes, the matter of the education system is a key matter for the development of the society of Ukraine and its economy. And in the framework of our initiative on establishing of educational media club, we have made some research in 2015. Our research demonstrated upon comparison which we have made. So the compared data show on the occupations, top 10 occupations which Ukrainians chose by top 10 occupations. We can see the top 10 occupations in the inside circle, and economy and entrepreneurship, law, natural sciences, teachers training, informational sciences, business and administration, sports and political sciences. In the green, we can see how many people were ready to pay for education, and in the red color we can see those who entered the universities on budget places, budget-funded education. So we can see that pharmaceuticals and services are also ready to pay for education, not only international relations. Also, we should say that only 20% of students are ready to pay for the education in other specialties. So we can see that Ukrainians do not choose those engineering occupations which are really required for our country to develop and prosper. And if we look at the natural sciences, you can see them in blue in the inside circle. You can find out that the competition is 10 persons. This competition is very challenging. But we hope that upon our efforts in 5 years we will have quite another picture. And in this respect, in presence of Victor Galasuk, an MP heading the Economic Policy and Entrepreneurship Committee, who is also president of Innovative Development of Ukraine, which promotes technological development of Ukraine. So I would like him to comment on these, our results of research, our findings. Thank you. Dear colleagues, there are two very important challenges we face. The first is the system of education should meet the needs of Ukrainian economy and Ukrainian production, because the education is an industry to produce highly professional experts who then come to the real sector of economy and produce the products which are critically important for society. So the experts who we get upon studies in the university, their skills should be useful and should make them competitive on the HR market. The second thing is that if even today we would build an ideal system of education absolutely adequately meeting the needs of the economy anyway, we would see a conservation of the very poor economy which we have now, because now the structure of GDP of Ukraine is extremely inefficient now. More than 20% of economy are very obsolete technological practices of the previous century. And if we speak about high tech, it will make it makes now 5%, merely 5%. The task today, the objective today is to look into the trends which would change technological landscape in the world in 20 years completely, and to find the niche for Ukraine where our point which we would like to achieve lies, and we need to build the economic model which would be successful and provide people with the opportunity to have welfare and good living standards. So we should look into Malaysia, China, and other countries which has put incentives for production businesses. Then foreign investors would come to Ukraine and start new businesses, new productions, and they will hire Ukrainians and pay them decent salaries. This is the way how we can change the structure of our economy. Now, today, we need not to dream, not to outline theoretic strategies. We should learn on the lessons of other countries whose lessons learned we could use in our life. They are Poland, Slovakia, Malaysia, China, Singapore, Once again, the role of the state is not only not to interfere if the government will flee from the game completely, then even in education we will have then the waves of highly professional immigrants, expatriates, so-called, coming to Ukraine. So 1 week ago, Polish newspaper Rich Pospolita published such a feature article that for 400 plus thousand Ukrainians were employed in Poland during 1 year last year. So if we have 17 million people who are capable to work in Ukraine, and once 400,000 migrate to some other country to work, so with the purpose of work migration, and when the brains flee from the country, this means that they will produce the wealth to the other country, and Ukraine will proceed to export grain and other raw materials, which is now more than 50% of our exports. So this is the position of the radical party faction. Ukraine should export ready goods with high value added, but not the raw materials and not the brains, not the talented people who are the highest richness of our country. So Ukraine is obliged to form all possible conditions, favorable conditions for the most creative, more gifted persons, so that they stay in Ukraine and develop Ukrainian economy, but not the one of the other countries. If we look into the experience of the most successful cities of Ukraine, for example, we can take Lviv. Economic pulse of Lviv now is topping the welfare of Lviv citizen is 5 times worse than that of Krakow in Poland. What is the problem? The problem is that Krakow has mighty industry, technologies, and in Lviv industrial production is underdeveloped. It is 1 billion of euros per year, and in Krakow it makes 7 billions of euros a year. So when people can't self-realize in their own countries, they flee from the country, they break their families to live in other countries, and we support the initiative of the IT Ukraine Association to improve the education in Ukraine and bring it closer to the production and technological needs of Ukraine. The main task today is to form the conditions favorable for investors, so that the investors come and create laboratories so that Ukrainian brains are not stolen by other countries. Then we can live not on on IMF tranches and loan tranches, and we can then overcome the gap between Poland and Ukraine and other countries.
Mr. Victor, thank you very much, and I would like, from the name of our new society, to have our request to the committee on the issues that we can see now. Engineering specialities, it's no more than 15%, and people are ready to pay money, but not for the professions that will need for the production, but to consider this issue on the committee, and maybe jointly we can initiate some promotional campaign, create some promotional movie to stimulate the youth from 2016 to select those professions that would correspond to the future state of Ukrainian economics. I don't mean engineering specialties, creative specialties as well. But today we can see that before economists and legal and lawyers were popular, but now after 20 years I respect this profession as well, but without engineering personnel, without production resources, economics can't develop. So I will kindly ask you to consider this issue on the committee and to create a corresponding promotional campaign among the Ukrainians, because 46, 41, there are competition for international competition of pharmaceutic or some other fields of labor, but they are not the producer of national value. Maybe there are some pharmaceuticals, but let's be honest, most of people and most vacancies in the pharmaceutics, it's not in them, but in the distribution of foreign medicine. That's why we need human resources for economics, we need promotion, and we need conditions, but on this issue we focus on HR and promotion to select the specialties connected to the production of national value. That's why I ask you to be responsible on the committee dealing with this issue. Thank you very much for the presentation. Maybe some questions or additions. Yes, there is a question. Yemets Maria, Ukraine Crisis Media Center. Could you tell us, please, if to make regulatory role of the state more than it is at the moment, how to find this golden middle between what Earth needs while they're doing their selection and successful development of Ukrainian economy? Thank you. Look, state doesn't have this regulatory role, and state ordinance mechanism will be changing, but what will happen in 2016, it's hard to say. But we can see the role of the state as promotional and informational. I mean explanatory role. But in the future, about education and needs of the market, there are. But the country itself shall use their developed network, shall take the function of informing, because from other side, almost 60% of Ukrainians work not on the specialties that they got in higher education. There are huge losses for the country and for the economics, because these people need to retrain, and we can't afford that situation at the moment. We can't afford these losses. So once again, this function is not regulatory one, but promotional. Thank you very much. Any other questions? That will be the last question. My question is, I'm deputy head of the cátedra of Kyiv Polytechnical University. You are talking about promotions, about information policy. And what about the promotion from country? when a country appeals students to study the desirable professions. For example, during Soviet Union, students got more money while studying at the specialties that were useful for the country. Really, there is such a practice abroad, and in many aspects in other countries, private sector of the economics is doing that. Companies find for themselves the students, the most talented students that they need in the future. After that, they have grants, they have special payments for them, and so on and so forth. What country shall do? The most important, because only country can do it. Create favorable conditions for business development. That won't just sell abroad raw materials when you just cut the wood and sell it then. But we want business to make ready products from the raw materials. We want to have researchers and some scientific success in this area, and only they can attract this business into the country. And second, that the country shall do to eliminate that huge bureaucratic constraints that bother business to make such projects in the universities. So for the time being, there is a huge insulation between the society, country, and business. And to make this triangle work in the same way as model of third spiral, the role of the country is not to prohibit something or to regulate something. We want country to create these favorable conditions for private sector of the economics, because only this sector can be that drive moving the country. Because, you know, let's be honest, the country is in a very hard condition, and in this condition we can't make a huge jump and become one of the world leader. So we need to attract the investor. We need to eliminate these constraints that exist now artificially. And about cooperation with the universities, it would be possible to create joint labs. It would be possible to initiate some name payments for the students, but in this case, we will see that the country listens to the university, and they will have the skill set of the knowledge of the graduates. What education program shall be? We need to involve new formats. We just need to look where the world is going, and countries shall provide the stimulation of this development, not just look at it from other side and let the market regulate it, because we could see how market regulated it before. Now we are on the level of the raw material colony and exporter of the people, and it's a shame for our country, and we need to improve the situation. Thank you very much. It was the last question. We will finish this press conference. I hope your advice will go into the Ministry of Education, and starting from this strategic point, it will go into practice, into more concrete things. Thank you very much. Our press briefing is at 12 o'clock.